Hi guys, so I'm back again with another video, and today I'm simply here to give you an update or a review of the reintroduction plan. Now, I've been on the reintroduction plan for about 6 weeks, and I will give you a breakdown of every week how my gut responded to the different produce, because not only did we introduce acidic produce, but we also introduced high fiber produce. And now for week one, we introduced garlic. And garlic is a fructan, or it contains fructans, and fructans are a carbohydrate which the body finds very difficult to break down. Not everybody, but for example, my body. And my IBS does not help me in any sense when it comes to fructans. So I'm sitting in someone's garden and I hear something behind me. I have all my notes here. I kept a thorough record of how I've done each week with each type of produce, and I would only produce one type of produce once a week. The first one was garlic, which I did over 3 days, but on day 3 it became challenging because I introduced an acidic produce as well on day 3, and due to that I started feeling gassy and bloated, and then experienced constipation. But to give me a relief, I simply went back to the heal plan. So I went to week 1 of the heal plan, and I followed day 4, 5, and 6 of the heal plan simply to get me back on track, and it exactly did that. Then for week 2, I introduced onions. Onions are also high in fructans. So with onions also, I did not have a problem at first, because you introduce every piece of produce very slowly. So you introduce like a really small amount of the produce. You are not going to eat a whole onion or a whole garlic bulb or whatsoever. In her book, she gives you the measurements of each produce and how much you have to introduce in a day or per serving. But just like with the garlic, I still have not learned my lesson. So on day 2 of using onions, I added a spicy food to the diet, or to that particular produce. Plus, I included a piece of gluten-free bread. So I was at a friend's house and she was bragging about how lovely garlic is on bread, and she does it in her air fryer. So I said, oh, okay, let's try it. Give me a piece. And I ate it, and it tasted good. But I forgot that I could not eat gluten at that time. And so I got constipated immediately, and it was not funny at all. But the constipation was really hectic because of the spicy food that I eat at a place, the gluten that I ate, plus the garlic as well. So it was really hectic, and so I had to go to the 3-day stop plan, because this 3-day stop plan is there to give you relief and get your bowels going. And that's exactly what it did for me. Now, week 3 of the stop plan, I introduced both avocados and mushrooms. And if you go back to the IBS diets, you will find the FODMAP, and you will find that both avocados and mushrooms are on the high FODMAP chart. So it's high in fiber. Yet I introduced both, but luckily I did not experience any flare-ups, any issues with either my IBS or my acid reflux. It really took really well to both produce, and to date I'm still eating both, but I'm not eating it in one serving, or I think I eat it in the same week, yeah, but never in one serving. So I would eat one avocado over the span of a week, and I would eat some mushrooms when I make a stir fry, or I make a burger. So then I would eat some mushrooms, and I've been handling mushrooms and avocados quite well so far. Furthermore, during week 3, did I get constipated? However, it wasn't of the mushrooms or of the avocados, it was because of the chia pudding. In our stop plan, the author introduced chia pudding, but chia pudding is only introduced once in the entire diet. Over the entire diet, you only eat chia pudding once. And so I did not just eat chia pudding once because it's so tasty, so I would make it every week. And I did not realize that chia seeds contains a lot of fiber. It's really, really high in fiber. And it was only when I got a couple of times we went to the beach and I would just eat chia pudding because sometimes there's no food for me. And I eat chia pudding with melon, with cantaloupe, and a little bit of plant-based milk, and I really loved it that way. But it's then when I realized it's actually the chia seeds that is constipating me, because I eat it over a whole weekend and that's all I eat, and not all, but I would eat fish in the evenings, but with no other starches. And I had to come to the conclusion that it might be the chia seeds that's constipating me. And then I looked it up and found that chia seeds actually contains a lot of fiber. And if you have IBS like me, then it might clog you. So yeah, then I finally understood why she did not include chia pudding ever again in the diet apart from that time. Oh, I'm getting hot here. I'm sitting in the heat in this beautiful Japanese garden. There's a Japanese lady and a husband living here at this house, and they have this beautiful little garden here, and they're really kind. They told me I can come and sit here whenever I want to do my work. So yeah, there's so many different spots on this compound that you can sit at, so you never feel like claustrophobic. You will feel claustrophobic, of course, in your house, but that's why you should come out to these different little corners. Back to the review and update. So that was week 3. So some advice for you if you want to, if you go out or if you don't have a lot of time to prepare something, just simply make a banana pancake, make a cantaloupe smoothie or juice. The cantaloupe smoothie is so good. Oh my goodness, you're going to love it. Just like the banana pancake, you're going to love it. The cantaloupe smoothie has some fennel powder in it, and it gives the cantaloupe that licorice taste of fennel. It is so good with maple syrup and coconut milk. Oh, it's delish. It's like a milkshake. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it. So that's one that you can make. Banana flaxseed smoothie, that's also another one. It's really, really filling, and it gives you bowel movements. So those are things you can easily make. You don't have to go for the chia pudding because that's something that's only introduced in the stop plan. So try not to stay on that chia pudding because you will have trouble. I don't know what's the relation with chia pudding and acid reflux, but because I have IBS and acid reflux, so I need to be really careful with the produce I introduce and when I eat it and the amounts I eat, and so that's why I'm telling you this. Let's go on to week 4. I was supposed to introduce celery and honey. Now both these two I have eaten throughout the heal plan. Honey I have added to my smoothies. I've added to my turmeric drink, to my garlic, not garlic drink, but ginger drink or tea, because when I'm out of maple syrup, I would just use honey. And during that time, I would not get any flare-ups. I also used it in my smoothies, like in my flaxseed smoothie, in my cantaloupe smoothie, so it never gave me any problems. So when I introduced it in week 4, again, not reintroduce it, I've been using it. Celery, the same celery I use in my vegetable broth on a weekly basis, and to date I'm still using celery, and even if I increase the amount of celery, I do not get any reaction from it. I do burp. I have to say I do burp when I drink the broth, and it might be of the celery, but not excessively like I used to. But I will also say that I know if I had to use or consume celery as a snack, I know I would have a reaction because it's very fibrous for one, it's high in fructans, and so as you know already, my body does not like fructans. So I know that I would get a reaction, but what I would say, I should probably just try to introduce it in small amounts instead of a whole stalk, just a quarter of a stalk. Start like that and work your way up as with any other thing. Also use it maybe in my green juice. I remember in the past using celery in my green juice, and that would really flare up my IBS. Then in week 5, I was to introduce pears, either pears or apples. I have a problem consuming apples. When I consume apples, and usually it doesn't matter whether it's red, green, or yellow, she suggests red apples, but because I know apples always makes me bloated, give me that bloated feeling, it, however, does not make me constipated. It actually push out the waste, but I would feel bloated. It's really, really tough on my gut. And so I decided not to introduce apples this time, but I introduced pears, which was lovely and still is because I use it in my green smoothie. But now I will also use it in a parfait or just eat it as a snack. I actually started introducing pears because I was using pineapples and apricots in my green smoothie, and I started getting flare-ups, and obviously both these are very, very acidic. Both pineapples and apricots. Apricots is highly acidic. And I would use a lot of it because I wasn't aware that apricots are acidic. I was aware of pineapples, but now I just cut it both out of my smoothie and I replaced that with a pear. But what I would say is to rather introduce each one very slowly and small portions. Maybe just a little piece of pineapple in your smoothie, as well as just one fresh apricot. Don't even try to eat the dried ones, especially if you have IBS, because I don't know if it's high in fiber as well, but it will definitely mess you up. The same with prunes, it's high in fiber. It's very difficult for our gut to process that. But then again, I don't want to say when you're at this stage in the plan and in your diet and in your gut health, you should try things, but be cautious of the amounts. One thing at a time, a little bit of one thing at a time, and not, and then don't introduce another high fiber or another acidic produce on top of that. That would be my tip to you. Then in week six, I was supposed to introduce dairy, which means lactose milk. And in 2017, I was tested for lactose, and I actually tested positive. So I am lactose intolerant. It's something that I know. And I think due to my vegan diet that I was on previously, not consuming any dairy products, that enzyme is something that I just lost, and I just have to make peace with it because I have tried lactose-free milk. As you know, it's not completely 100% lactose-free, and I did get a reaction, and it was bad. It was not like a small reaction. It was really, really bad. And so we bought about 6 cartons, or was it 8 cartons of, no, 8 cartons of lactose-free milk at once. And I tried one, and then we had to take all the others back to the store because it just did not get better for me. So yeah, lactose is something that I just have to make peace with. I'm not going to eat that again. Then I was also supposed to introduce wheat in my diet. And as you know, it's not the gluten that bothers my intestines, it's actually the fructan in the wheat. So that is something that I cannot consume. The workers are passing, and it's always so distracting to me when people pass because they look and they probably think, what is she doing? Who is she talking to her camera? Yeah, looks crazy. Anyway, back to wheat. Yeah, so wheat is the component in flour, or so fructan is the component in the wheat that is actually my issue and not the actual wheat. And so I stay on gluten-free pasta, gluten-free bread, because I already introduced garlic, celery, onions, all those things that are high in fructans. I have introduced that into my diet, and I think that if I have to choose between fructans, I would definitely choose garlic and onions and celery, because those are things that's actually healthy. It's way healthier than pasta or any bread. It has anti-inflammatory properties and all that, so I would rather prefer introducing those kind of fructans instead of wheat. I would say that if I am at a restaurant or if I'm on vacation and I want a pasta, I never order pasta. I don't even like pasta. No, I wouldn't say I don't like pasta. I'm lying. I like pasta, but the pasta I make at home. So when I make a veggie pasta, which you will see in the Simple Life recipes, that's what I would eat. But at the moment, I also have gluten-free pasta, so I can make either with whole wheat pasta, my veggie pasta, or with my gluten-free pasta. Usually I make with both because I make one for my husband and one for me. I am not looking into introducing wheat or bread, pasta in my diet anytime soon. Even for my tortillas, I use corn flour, corn meal, and it's gluten free. So, or chickpea flour. There are such a lot of variety other than gluten or wheat flour that you can use. So both those are a no-no. I definitely know that I am not gluten intolerant. That I can say to you. I am not gluten intolerant. I was also tested in 2017. At the same time I was tested for lactose, I was also tested for gluten. And the test came out negative. I don't know if things have changed, but I'm just going based off my results of that time. My students, I teach medical students, and they actually said to me, they asked me if I took a blood test or if I took a biopsy. And I didn't even know you can take a biopsy to test whether you're intolerant to gluten. And they actually said to me, sometimes when your gluten intolerant level is not that severe, it does not show in the blood test, but if you had to take a biopsy, it would show in that, because it's actually a piece of the gut that they take to test whether you're gluten intolerant. So that's why I'm on the fence on that one, and that's why I'm just staying off gluten. That's the best for me. Okay, so that's my update so far from week 1 to week 6. There's something else that I'm aiming to introduce, but I don't know what. Was it apples? I'm not sure. So on that note, to be continued on to the next video, where I'm going to talk about the challenges that I have and how this diet has helped me conquer those challenges. Thank you for watching. Watch the next one to see how this diet has helped me.